There's a mushroom that eats plastic. Is this true or false? This is an interesting question because there are mushrooms that can break down some plastics. But it's not exactly what you might think. When we think of something eating something, we usually think of an animal consuming another organism as food. Well, they actually secrete acids that break the plastic down into smaller pieces. The reason why this works is because plastic is made up of molecules that are very similar to the sugars that mushrooms use for food. They don't actually consume the plastic as food. Instead, they break it down into smaller pieces and then absorb those pieces as nutrients. And not all plastics are created equal. Some types of plastic are more easily broken down than others. So while it's true that there are mushrooms that can eat plastic, it's not necessarily the case that all of them can. And just like how our bodies break down sugars for energy, these acids break down the plastic, allowing the mushrooms to absorb the molecules and use them as food. But this doesn't really apply to mushrooms since they're more closely related to plants than animals. Plants do consume things, but in a very different way. They absorb water and minerals from the soil and use them to grow. So how do these mushrooms deal with plastic? But not all plastics are created equal. Some types of plastic are more easily broken down than others. For example, polyethylene, which is used to make grocery bags and packaging, is very difficult for these mushrooms to digest. But other types of plastic, such as polystyrene, which is used to make food containers and bottle caps, are much more easily digested. This is because polystyrene has a simpler structure than polyethylene, making it more similar to the sugars that mushrooms use for food. Now, while it's true that these mushrooms can technically eat plastic, it's not exactly what we think of when we hear the phrase eating plastic. This is 1 Minute Earth, and if you want to learn more about the amazing world around you, follow along for more updates.